Are you tired of the nightly battles over reading? Struggling to understand what all the fuss is about? I mean, you'd gladly dive into a book for hours if you could only find the time. So why doesn't your kid feel the same way? I hate to break it to you, but you probably already know. You've got a reluctant reader on your hands. But don't worry, this isn't some kind of death sentence. Your kid isn't doomed to hate reading for all time. Take me, for example. I was a reluctant reader for most of my life, and now I love it. Together, we'll find the right tools and strategies to help your kid flip the switch too. In today's episode, we're tackling two key questions. What exactly is a reluctant reader, and why do they struggle? We'll look at the different types of reluctant readers and dive into some tailored strategies to help each one. By the end of this episode, you'll not only understand your kid's dreaded view of reading, but you'll also have an actionable first step to help change the course of their reading journey. So, what exactly do we mean when we say reluctant reader? A reluctant reader is simply a child who isn't motivated to read. Maybe they avoid it, maybe they complain, or maybe they just flat out refuse. Sound familiar? Here's where it gets tricky. Not all reluctant readers are the same. The strategies that work for one child might not work for another. That's why it's so important to zero in on the right approach for your unique reluctant reader. Even when reading wasn't my cup of tea, the right book, the right project, or even the right teacher could coax me into finding the joy of reading. For example, give me the chance to tap into my creative side, maybe with an art project, a bit of theatrics, or a relatable character, and I was a goner. I vividly remember watching the Romeo and Juliet movie with Leonardo DiCaprio as Romeo, swoon, and then reading Shakespeare for the first time in seventh grade. Fast forward to the following year, and I found myself visiting London, England, and Stratford-upon-Avon for the first time. That experience inspired me to dive headfirst into memorizing as much Shakespeare as I could. I still have journals from my childhood filled with favorite lines and passages scribbled inside. Sure, I went through another reading lull for a while after that, but my love for England was one of the things that brought me back to books, this time through Charlotte Bronte and Jane Austen. In fact, diving into Austen's works and stories inspired by her novels continues to keep me excited about reading to this day. It's not about forcing a passion, it's about tapping into their interests and planting the seeds for future reading fun. Let's break this down into the three main types of reluctant readers. I want you to think about where your child might fit. First, we have the struggling reader. Signs. They get frustrated easily with reading tasks. They avoid reading aloud, or they struggle with basic skills and comprehension. Why they struggle? Reading doesn't come naturally. Now, truth be told, it comes naturally to very few. Some just pick it up better than others. But for a struggling reader, it likely feels like an insurmountable mountain. Maybe they're behind their peers or have an undiagnosed learning difference like dyslexia. Just know that's not the only one. More on that in a minute. Strategy. It's all about building their confidence in their skills. If you think your child might be struggling with their foundational skills or something bigger, don't hesitate to seek further guidance through their school or pediatrician. Then we have the disinterested reader. Signs. They complain that reading is boring or irrelevant. They likely roll their eyes at the mere mention of books or zone out during story time. This was definitely a big part of my reluctance. I somehow got this crazy idea in my head that I'd magically graduate from school and then never need reading again. Obviously not true, and a rude awakening when I graduated college and became an administrative assistant, where I was constantly reading emails, editing papers, and projects, etc. The joke was 100% on me. Why do they struggle? They haven't found their just right books, stories that connect with their interests, like Jane Austen and Shakespeare for me. Strategy. Loosen the reins. Let them choose their own books. Last, we have the distracted reader. Signs. They're glued to a tablet, game controller, basically any type of technology, or they'd rather be outdoors or off doing some sort of activity. For me, it was dance, and ironically, theater. But somehow memorizing lines didn't actually feel like reading or work for that matter. It was just fun. Why they struggle? Reading has to compete with faster paced, more stimulating activities. Your strategy? Tap into their interests. All right, now that I've gone through the most common types of reluctant readers, which type best describes your kiddo? Maybe it's a combination. Take a moment to think about this. Got it? Great. Welcome to your starting point because this is a journey, not a sprint. Before we dive deeper into strategies, I want to help bridge the gap between you and your reluctant reader by talking about the emotional side of things. As a recovering reluctant reader, I can tell you it's tough when you're being told you have to read. It feels like a chore. So always remember the words of Kate DiCamillo. Reading should not be presented to children as a chore, a duty. It should be offered as a gift. That being said, while reading only ever felt like a chore for me, it could be different for your child depending on the type of reluctant reader you have. Their reluctance could come with feelings of inadequacy or anxiety. They may think, I'm not good at this, so why even try? On the flip side, as a mom, I've seen how hard it is to watch your child resist something you enjoy so much. My 9-year-old, JD, has been on his fair share of rides on the reading roller coaster. And considering he was my main inspiration for getting back into reading as an adult, you know that's got to sting a bit. It's easy to feel guilty or frustrated, or perhaps feel some self doubt creeping in. And guess what? That's normal. But here's the thing, your kid's reluctance is not your fault, and it's not a reflection of your parenting either. Instead, it's an opportunity to connect with your child and help them grow as a person and a reader. Your role as a mom or a parent is to gently challenge that inner narrative they're struggling with. And to do that, you have to meet them where they are. So, what does that mean? Changing the narrative. And how do I go about doing that? For struggling readers, start small and work on building their reading confidence. Choose books that are below their reading level to build up their skills. For kids still learning to read, find books that focus on specific skills in manageable chunks. Don't be afraid to get outside help if they need it. And lastly, let them see you make mistakes when you're reading so they know it's okay to be imperfect. For disinterested readers, make reading fun. Let them read what they want to read, whether it's graphic novels, joke books, magazines, or even recipes. If they're reading something, anything, it counts. Create an inviting reading space. I'll dive deeper into this in the next episode. Or bring stories to life with activities, excitement, or even a themed snack. For distracted readers, lean into their interests as much as possible. If they love sports, try a book about their favorite team. If video games or movies are more their thing, find character guides or fan fiction. You can even get them involved in theater, either on stage themselves or simply enjoying a production from the audience. Who knows? Maybe they'll go off and start memorizing lines from their favorite scenes. For the techie types, try audiobooks. They're a great way to get their toes wet while embracing a bit of technology. Audiobooks can be enjoyed when kids are coloring, playing with Play-Doh, building magnet blocks, or even while riding in the car. Pretty much any activity that doesn't require deep thought or following instructions. Now, if they need something a bit more engaging, interactive story apps could be more their speed. Regardless of the type of reluctant reader you have, it's important to always make reading a positive experience. This likely means letting go of your ideal reading scenario that you've painted in your mind. It doesn't mean you can't get there someday, but it's not where we need to start. Right now, it doesn't matter if they're reading a picture book instead of a chapter book, a comic book instead of a classic novel. What matters most is that they engage with reading in any form. Just know this. I believe in you, Mama. You've got this. Together, we can make reading fun. Before we wrap up, be sure to check out the next episode. We'll dive into how to create an irresistible invitation to read. Everything from displaying books in your home to designing a cozy, can't resist book nook. And for those of you with hectic schedules, I'll share practical tips for squeezing in reading on the go and how to keep reading from feeling like just another school assignment. It's all about making reading fun and a natural part of your family's daily life. I hope you'll join me.